Another existential threat, as people see it, particularly now, is in the growth of the power of computers. I remember reading 3 or 4 years ago articles predicting when computers would become more intelligent, as it were, than human beings, that one computer would have the brain power of the whole of the human race. It was called the Singularity, and that was predicted to be in about 2050. Now, those who are involved with artificial intelligence and supercomputing tell us that it's come from 2050 to perhaps within 5 or 10 years, when one computer will be more powerful than all our brains on the planet, and any single computer such as that will be not only extremely powerful in solving mathematical and other linguistic problems, but actually have some intelligence in the human sense, in that it has imagination, creativity, self-awareness perhaps, so it's almost human. So the threat is that we will be pushed aside by these machines, and biological life forms on this planet will disappear or become the pets of this new super species. People like Geoff Hinton, who's just resigned from Google, who is a fellow of my college, are very afraid that this might happen and that we need to face up to this, because these new artificial devices are wonderful and they are helping us solve many problems in medicine and physics and chemistry and agriculture, which are beneficial to human beings. But like all technologies, like the splitting of the atom, and even the discovery of new medicines, which had great good effects, but also helped lead to the population explosion, this technology has to be controlled. It also has to be controlled because it will have undoubtedly 2 other side effects which we have to face up to. One is that we will no longer need most human labour. Previous technological revolutions have replaced other parts of the human body and put vast swathes of the working population out of work. Tracing this in England, the first was the agricultural revolution and the second agricultural revolution in the 19th, 20th century, which basically meant that people who had worked on the land no longer had a job. You had machines to do it. And so they went into the cities, and the countryside now is more or less bare, except 1 or 2 people driving huge machines around. The next phase were the blue-collar workers, the people who worked in factories and mines, and they have been made redundant by machines in factories. So in the second half of the 20th century, the British factories and mines were closed down and are now hardly active. It's a service economy. And this will occur increasingly across the world. But artificial intelligence then moves it up to the next level, which is the mind, the human brain. And this is the province of the professional classes, the lawyers, the doctors, the professors, the heads of the army, all the different professions. Very small number, but they will be nearly replaced. That is to say, 1 doctor, 1 lawyer, 1 professor will be able to do the work of 20 using artificial intelligence. Teaching, you'll be able to teach much larger numbers of people, heal much larger numbers of people with machines. So what do the other 19 or whatever do? And that is a big problem which we have to face. And how do we fill our time? That's one of the, and not feel alienated, because people have often gained their sense of identity and meaning and worth from working, and particularly in Protestant kinds of cultures where you work as a form of service and in relation to God and spiritual matters. But everywhere, work has been very important as a component to the middle part of human beings' lives. And the second effect is that we will completely have to rethink our economy, because since the beginning of peasant societies anyway, the allocation of resources, rewards from production has gone along the lines of work. You work and you are paid, and that's how capitalist and other societies have operated. How can we deal with a situation where you don't work? Or if you do work, you work for 1 or 2 days a week at the most. So we will have to have new schemes such as universal credit and new forms of payment and allocation, which take account of the fact that we can't use labour as the main form of principle to distribute profits.